Good afternoon and welcome to NYFP. In midday trade on this Monday, we are seeing the major U.S. stock averages trade lower, but the Dow and S&P 500 are close to record highs. Joining me now is Mark Otto of Streicher Co. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me back, Remy.
Well, this is the first full trading week for the month of August, and we're sure to see fairly quiet trading. We got the Fed announcement last week when we also got the jobs report. So given what we've seen last week, what do you expect going forward?
Well, this is the quiet after the storm, I would say. Last week was the big week. From here to the end of the summer, there's not much going on. Macroeconomic data this week is going to be late. We're going to have a few Fed speakers, but nothing is really anticipated for any changes. Really, people are actually already looking forward to Jackson Hole, so it gives you some perspective. In September, things will probably pick up. For now, we're probably going to remain in a narrow channel. The S&P is holding 1,700. A lot of people are going to keep their eyes on that. If it cracks below 1695 and 1685 support, going up 1707 we brushed upon today, and then 1715 and 1725 is resistance going higher from here.
And Mark, earlier today we did see that 1707 for the S&P 500, and that is quite a high given that we are lower on the session. And as you mentioned, we're sure to see quiet trading. You mentioned Jackson Hole, so it is that time of year. But before the next Fed meeting, which is on September 17th, we do get another jobs report. So what are your expectations for that report?
Well, Friday's non-farm payrolls was the big piece of information this far. All eyes will certainly be on anything related to jobs data going forward, simply because of QE3. I think Friday's numbers gave us some sort of a glimpse, even though unemployment fell, as to QE3 perhaps being pushed back towards the end of the year. So that's really the question, how it's going to impact QE3. So going forward, I'm optimistic, hopefully speaking, but however, it's really how the market's going to react to that. Again, if it comes in too strong, that may impact people's decision on QE3, so it may actually have an adverse effect. We'll have to see.
And that relationship between the jobs report and the equity markets, given what it means for the Fed stimulus program, is quite interesting. But while we keep our eyes on that, I do want to take a look at what we've been seeing around the globe. We did get better than expected PMI readings from the UK as well as the Eurozone, but the Eurozone also has weak retail sales, even if it beat forecasts. And regarding China, we got a flat reading for the HSBC PMI reading. So out of all those countries, what are you paying attention to?
Right now, I'm paying attention more. My specialty is China, so a lot of people have been debating on what's going on in China right now. A lot of indications are that China is somewhat bottoming out right now. The premier has come out recently and said that 7% is all they'll tolerate for the end of the year for GDP. So I think if you take the macroeconomic data, which has been mixed and spotty, but showing signs of life, there's some more macro data coming from China later on this week that I'll be really watching. So CPI retail sales is another thing that I'll be really watching. Imports, exports numbers are coming out as well. So I think going forward, hopefully these numbers will show a continued bottoming out. It might be mixed, but it will show signs of life. We are seeing it play out in China-based U.S. listed stocks, particularly in solars and in the e-commerce sector. So over the past 5 days, there's a couple of names out of the e-commerce sector that have made moves between 10 and 20% higher over the past 5 days, that is. So Sina, Dang, those are a couple of that sector. Out of the solars, there have been some stocks that have made 100% moves to the upside over the past month. So we're seeing a lot of information come out with the solars. Sort of debated whether or not the EU is going to put in place tariffs on the solars. They reached an agreement before the deadline, so that there's some follow through in that sector as well. However, my hopes is going forward, we're going to see more growth and expansion and performance in sectors other than solar, other than the e-commerce, and particularly branch out. Perhaps real estate is something to look at for China going forward.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for your insight on what you're seeing aside from the headlines. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Remy.